There's a problem that's been plaguing the Flutterflow community ever since the tool was developed. The Firebase versus Supabase quagmire. Let me explain. When you first start with Flutterflow, you'll find that it has first-class support for Firebase, the auth has loads of social login providers, push notifications just work, storage, Crashlytics, app configuration, and of course, our trusty, overpriced, underwhelming NoSQL offering for a database, Firestore. People complained about Firestore being overly expensive, which it totally is, and not having access to a SQL database. So to solve this problem, the Flutterflow team introduced kind of a second-class support for Supabase. But more crucially, you have to use Supabase auth alongside your Supabase database because of something called row-level security. Otherwise, all of your data would literally be free for anyone on the web to take. Okay, now you're on Supabase, you're using Supabase auth, and push notifications just broke because Flutterflow relies on Firebase authentication, Firebase Cloud Functions, and Firebase Cloud Messaging to make them work. So now you have to use one signal for push notifications, and device tokens for every single device that's ever downloaded your app, they need to be stored somewhere, which Firebase was taking care of. Before long, you realize you've been Googling and prompting ChatGPT for hours trying to figure this thing out, and it's talking about doing custom code and cloud functions, and you're like, I just wanted to make push notifications work. I suck at coding in Flutter. I will get better with Dart and Flutter over time, but I have no intention of using a chainsaw to butter my toast. I use Flutterflow because I wanted to make my life easier and have things taken care of for me, like push notifications. Turns out, a lot of what makes your app truly unique, unless it's a very visually oriented application, should probably be implemented on the back end and not in some crazy hodgepodge of custom code and cloud functions. As you might know, if you've seen other videos of mine, I actually run Python backends with my Flutterflow apps. The reason that I do this is to keep my application logic isolated. It's easy to test, it's easy to develop, and it is way more flexible. If you're going to be writing an app that has any level of complexity, you're probably already finding the need for code in these custom code and cloud function implementations. So why not do it in a coding language that reads like English? Okay, so how does this help with the Firebase Supabase debacle? And stick around to the end of the video because what I'm about to show you may not even be necessary in a couple of months, and I'll explain how Supabase may have just solved this problem for us. Okay, here's what I've been doing. Supabase requires row-level security to work, which is an awesome feature of PostgreSQL, the database powering Supabase. Row-level security takes an authorization token, verifies and decodes it, and compares the embedded fields to whatever you want. This is called an RLS policy. So, for example, you might have a users table in Supabase, and you might compare, say, the ID of this table to the ID that's embedded in the token, which is usually called the sub. And this will be the ID from the table. So now, when a token comes in, you'll have the auth JWT. Within the JWT is a sub field, and row-level security will check whether the sub field is the same as the ID for that row. And by the way, if you have a random JWT token, you can actually go to this website, jwt.io, and just paste it in here. It will show you all of the fields inside of that token, including things like email, email verified, your sub, which is what we want in this case, and even things about Firebase identities and stuff if the token came from Firebase. What's really cool about this is that if only some of the rows in the table match with the right ID, it'll return just those rows, meaning your users get their own data and no one else's. Firestore doesn't do this, and you have to write that filtering logic yourself. Now, in order for this to work, the token must have been minted by Supabase. If you give Supabase a Firebase auth token, it will reject it. Did I mention to stick around to the end of the video? Because I'm going to repeat that last part. Right now, if you give Supabase a Firebase auth token, it will reject it. Now, here's my vision of utopia. You use Firebase auth, Supabase database, and not Supabase auth. Now you have Firestore creating user documents, and these documents contain device tokens, which Flutterflow has set up. So notifications and social logins and app configurations and everything is just working with zero effort. In Supabase, you create a users table, which you have to do anyway if you want to create custom fields for the user. And you can call this members or participants or something more tailored to your app if you wanted. And this is where Python comes in. If you add a Python backend into the mix, you can centralize all of your backend work, and this opens up a whole gigantic avenue for making life easier with other features of the app. The trick here is that we're going to verify the Firebase token and then mint a Supabase token. Here I have a Python function which is hooked up to a HTTP endpoint. And this endpoint is going to accept the token that I got from Firebase, which is easy to attach in Flutterflow. Then I just use the Python SDK for Firebase to verify the ID token that I've gotten from Flutterflow. And here in this error handling, I can just reject the user if their token is invalid. And now that the token's been verified and we're in a secure environment, what I can do is I can actually mint a JWT token for Supabase. The really important trick here is that because we're in a secure environment, we can actually use the Supabase JWT secret, which you get from the Supabase console, and that allows you to mint a Supabase token. And we can add some fields to the token, such as the user ID. And the best practice here is actually to use the user ID from Firebase, and then use that Firebase ID as the ID in the Supabase users table, so that everything is synced up. Then I just add creation times and expiry times to the token. And because it was minted by the Supabase JWT secret, Supabase is now going to accept this token and it can be used in row-level security. At that point, I can just do something like a GET request in Python, put together my SQL query or whatever it is, and I can create more complex SQL queries in this way as well. And then I just go ahead and attach the token. And bear in mind, this is actually a secure environment. So if RLS is turned on, but there are no RLS policies, you can actually just make the request without the token, and Supabase will give you all of the rows back. The advantage here to adding the token is that now you can get the rows that just pertain to this specific user that's making the request. So it's super flexible and it creates this whole new world of things that you can do with Supabase and with Firebase from this Python backend. And that's it. Obviously, I had to use code in this solution, and in my view, this code is so much easier to reason about than the Flutterflow custom code that you would need to have written anyway. However, if you're not already thinking about adding a Python backend into the mix, you might think this solution is a little bit cumbersome. I love this approach, but I'm biased because I use the same Python backend for all of my business logic and integrations anyway. But what if you just want all of this to work without having to do any custom code at all? Well, you might be in luck. Supabase have announced that support for Firebase Auth is now in alpha, meaning that, fingers crossed, it's going to be available to all of the Supabase users in a couple of months. Now you'll be able to construct your queries in Flutterflow and just send the Firebase JWT token directly, and it'll just work. And if we bug the Flutterflow team enough, I'm sure they'll add support for this too, and we can use the existing Supabase integration and widgets in the builder, rather than having to rely on external API calls. Wouldn't that be grand? Don't forget to subscribe if you're finding this content helpful, and please keep those wonderful comments coming in with ideas or suggestions that you might have, and I'll reply to them as often as I can. I'll see you in the next one.